Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe right now. This is exactly why Trump will win on appeal. He's already won this case on appeal eventually. Hit subscribe. Listen to this.
Open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David.
Cohen.
It's right here. Michael Cohen says he has to open up a company. These are tapes that he recorded Trump on. It's right here. End of story. Trump has won, but we'll get to all of this. Just listen to this again.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David.
I need to open up a company. It was not Trump that used Trump's money. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. NPR quoted me in 2015 saying that Clinton would lose to Trump. You will see that. I have been spot on the past 5-6 years on most things that I've talked about. I haven't been perfect. Nobody has. But I told you Clinton would lose to Trump in 2015 when the entire planet said that Trump would lose. I also stated there would be a unanimous, recently, Supreme Court victory overturning the Colorado ban. There's a unanimous Supreme Court victory. I'm telling you right now, he'll get partial immunity in a huge, monumental, constitutional rebuke of the special counsel, and another amazing victory for Trump. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to hear former President Donald Trump. You're going to hear Stormy, Michael Cohen, Avenatti, everyone involved. They're not going to be able, on appeal, to have the conviction upheld. He'll be convicted. It's a New York court. But listen to this again, and you're going to hear others. You're going to hear Stormy, Avenatti go after Michael Cohen. These are supposed to be people to testify against Trump. They've all lied either under oath, either perjury, or in Stormy's case, she stated that she did not have relations with Trump. And she wrote that she didn't either. So let's listen to this really quickly again.
Open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David.
I need to open up a company for the transfer. It wasn't Trump's. Trump didn't use his money. They're getting him on a record-keeping violation. They're trying to make into a federal crime. The FEC dropped the case, and it was Michael Cohen's company. But hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very, very important. I want you to listen to Stormy right here. And listen to what she says about the top witness against Trump. So you heard Stormy really quickly talk about Michael Cohen. We'll listen to this again, but these are witnesses that have contradicted one another from the beginning of this whole saga. Let's look. So really quickly, NPR, I have to do this, ladies and gentlemen, just to silence the critics who lack knowledge. Not that I have many critics, thank goodness, that, have amounted to anything, but H.A. Goodman wrote on Huffington Post in October, and Clinton is, quote, unelectable due to negative favorability polls nationwide and within swing states. I wrote this NPR quoted me in 2015, I was saying. And the article really quickly was, these are likely statements on the wrong side of history, or could be. Well, I was on the right side of history. 538, great. I actually really like 538, and I read their website all the time, but the point and their analysis to an extent, but they're very good. Our emphatic prediction is simply that Trump will not win the nomination. They didn't even think Trump would win the nomination. I was saying that Clinton is unelectable and that she would lose to Trump. And NPR quoted me. Okay? Now, you look, Avenatti is saying he was just interviewed by MSNBC, and he made a very interesting point. In prison, he was interviewed. And he basically said that on appeal, even he said on appeal, Trump will win. And I think it rests on a legally tenuous theory, namely that the crime was attempted to be covered up, was a federal crime. I think that could be a problem potentially on appeal for the state. He'll be convicted initially, win on appeal. They're going to try to say that he's a convicted felon Trump, convicted felon Trump. Nobody will care, and his poll numbers will go up. His poll numbers will go up, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's explain why. Let's explain why his poll numbers will actually go up. And on appeal, he'll win on appeal. Okay, this is very interesting. This is Michael Cohen's attorney in 2018 versus Michael Avenatti, Stormy's attorney. Listen to this. They contradict one another all the time. It's very interesting. There's no way that after the conviction, he'll get convicted, but there's no way after the conviction this doesn't get overturned on appeal. And here's why. Listen to this.
Hush money out of his own pocket from a home equity line of credit. He did it, had nothing to do with the Trump organization, right. Nothing to do with Donald Trump personally or the White House.
This, mind you, is before Michael Cohen was convicted of financial crimes that he committed. And then he pled guilty to campaign issues. But the campaign finance statutes he pled guilty to had literally nothing to do with why he went to prison. Okay? He went to prison because of sordid dealings pertaining to taxi medallions and other financial ventures. But this was before, this is very, very interesting. Watch this. This is before Michael Cohen turned on Trump. And this is when Avenatti and Stormy were fiercely opposing Michael Cohen.
I mean, does any attorney ever pay $130,000 out of their own pocket?
First of all, we keep labeling it as hush money. It's pursuant to a non-disclosure agreement. These non-disclosure agreements are entered into every single day in America. They're entered into by politicians,
but it's money to remain
CEOs.
Silent.
So, but it's money to not disclose the substance of the case.
Okay.
And so $130,000 was paid. It was pursuant to a contract. But to answer your question, is that normal course of business for an attorney to pay it? No, but there's nothing illegal about it. And given the context of this relationship, there's certainly nothing unethical about it. And remember, Michael Cohen was representing EC LLC. It was EC LLC that entered into this contract. Donald Trump was a third-party beneficiary.
Donald Trump was a third-party beneficiary. Had nothing to do with these major record-keeping violations. You have this lawyer for Michael Cohen stating very clearly that Trump did not commit a crime. How on earth are you then going to imprison Trump when Michael Cohen's own attorneys at one point stated Trump did not commit a crime, and Michael Cohen is now the chief witness against Trump? Then you should hear a very logical explanation regarding other issues. Well, why was there a signature line for Trump?
Does that make sense to you?
It doesn't. Donald Trump.
Line for Donald Trump.
Because they left it open. They left it open for either or. But the bottom line is,
what does that mean?
EC LLC entered into the contract. But
he's saying if Donald Trump had nothing to do with this, why have a line?
He has everything to do with it. He was a third-party beneficiary. You're just not acknowledging that fact. That he's a third-party beneficiary to this contract. He doesn't have to be a party to the contract to benefit from the contract, but he certainly can enforce the contract like a third-party beneficiary can. And this This is a contract, and you are advising your client to blatantly violate a contract. And you know what? She's liable for $20 million. And this is an airtight contract. An airtight contract, $1 million per violation. And it's not just the disclosure.
Where do you get the $20 million figure?
Because there were if you read,
are you talking about her appearances on the Make America Horny tour?
No. It's there are 20 different violations, and you could see it because in the contract, as it was artfully crafted, it's even the threat of a violation. It's even the threat of disclosure is a violation under the contract.
So you have, ladies and gentlemen, a major issue here with Michael Cohen's then representation correctly stating it's a contract. He's a third-party beneficiary. It was Michael Cohen's money, and there was nothing wrong, nothing illegal done. Then Michael Cohen says, oh my God, I plead guilty to all these illegal things. Well, it was obvious that he was trying to lessen a sentence for financial crimes that had nothing to do with Trump. Okay, so people turn on Trump because they want a book deal, because they want to be seen in a positive light by Democrats, by media. Okay, in this case, they turned on Trump because Michael Cohen turned on Trump because of financial crimes. Okay, he'll get convicted, and media and the Associated Press and CNN and Washington Post and the New York Times and every liberal, wonderful leftist publication will that wants bail reform for even the most violent criminals will say a convicted felon Trump, convicted felon Donald Trump, convicted felon Donald Trump. Oh my God, and his poll numbers will go up because everyone knows this is a scam. Let's continue. And then he'll win on appeal, and he'll win in November 5th, 2024. He'll win the presidency. But it's right here. Michael Cohen's own attorney or lawyer at that representation at that point stated there was no crime committed.
So she's going to be liable for $20 million, and Michael Cohen is going to collect every single penny of that money. Make no mistake.
Michael?
He's going to collect everything. Andrew.
Trump is going to release her from other things if
that in the contract. But the bottom line is there's consideration, there's a contract, and there is a massive breach of this contract. And, you know, when this case is all said and done, you know, she's going to be liable for $20 million.
But again, I don't get the
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The $20 million not only do you have Avenatti stating that it'll be overturned on appeal, okay? And I think it rests on a legally tenuous theory. So this article is an article in the Hill. Trump will be convicted. Everybody knows very likely, almost certainly, Trump will be convicted. Not a big deal. The issue, however, is that the New York Court of Appeals, the highest court in New York, will overturn, or the Supreme Court will overturn it. The FEC did not, the FEC did not find that Trump committed a crime because he didn't commit a crime. Okay? Here you have a very, very interesting breakdown by Mark Levin and Greg Jarrett. There was no crime committed here. Okay, this is not like bribery and graft in Hunter's business deals linked directly to Joe, which we have. The Republicans already have the money trail, and they have the emails. The New York Post has the emails, and you have Ted Cruz and Chuck Grassley and others who have Jim Comer, Jim Jordan. They all have the money trail linked from very shady business deals, entities, companies, corporations, countries into Hunter's accounts. And, oh, those were different businesses propped up also. I guess that's okay. And then you have emails asking for influence the New York Post published 4 years ago. But they censored and they prevented us from reading about that because it helped it helped Trump and hurt Democrats. That's what the meaning of free speech is, being able to hear something that actually can hurt a political party, regardless of the political party.
For the Trump campaign, or the coming Trump campaign, you would do pretty much what Donald Trump did. No campaign money, consult your private lawyer, and they enter into these non-disclosure agreements. Greg, let me ask you this. Isn't the real issue here is people were actually paid under the non-disclosure agreements and then they violated the non-disclosure agreements? I don't see them giving the money back.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I think it's malpractice for the attorney for Stormy Daniels to say, go ahead and talk while the case is pending as to whether or not it's a valid and enforceable non-disclosure agreement. So it's stunning to me. But to Bradley's point, not everything that benefits a candidate is considered to be a campaign expense. Professor Smith wrote that in one of his op-eds, and he's absolutely right. If there is a dual purpose or a secondary purpose, it's not a campaign expense. And moreover, the media rushed and said, oh, Cohen pled guilty, the president must be guilty. That's utter nonsense. First of all, under the Federal Campaign Election Act and other related laws that criminalize violations, there has to be knowledge. You have to show that there was a knowing and deliberate violation of the law in order for it to be criminal. Well, most candidates don't know the election law. Heck, a lot of lawyers don't understand election laws. This gentleman, former commissioner, the Federal Election Commission, chairman, I mean, he knows election law. He may be just about the only one in America who really truly knows it. So you couldn't criminalize what Trump did if it wasn't properly accounted for as an advance or reimbursement. Okay, that's a civil penalty. It's the equivalent of a jaywalking $500 fine, but it's certainly not a crime.
They tried to elevate it to the extent of a felony, and they tried to make it a federal crime because of federal campaign statutes. But that's not going to hold up. There's no precedent for this. Furthermore, the only precedent is that it's a misdemeanor, not a felony. And everyone on the planet knows they're going after Trump politically. The Democrats in this region of the country have utilized the law, legal statutes against Trump in a manner they have never utilized against a Democrat and never will. It's Tammany Hall. It's a political machine. A political machine is going after one American citizen named Donald J. Trump. That's it. Everyone knows this. You'd have to be a complete imbecile to think that this is all about the rule of law. If it was about the rule of law, you have foundations, you have other business ventures, philanthropic or business ventures linked to Democrats in New York, yet endless scandal, not one indictment. And so, again, 50 intel officials came out of nowhere stating that Hunter's laptop was a plot by the Kremlin. That's all you need to know about American politics and how unfair they're treating Trump.
I did a search. It didn't take me long. Of all the federal candidates who've been charged and been convicted of violating these laws, I can't find a single one. Are you aware of a single one?
For this kind of scenario?
This kind of scenario?
No, I'm really not. Of course, the most high-profile one would be John Edwards from a few years ago.
And what happened in
Folks may remember that supporters were paying money to a woman, Riley Hunter, I believe was her name, with whom he'd had an affair and an illegitimate child. And now it's worth noting, the U.S. attorney indicted him, so they went to trial on it. So the U.S. attorney thought there was a case. But in the end, the jury did not convict. He was acquitted on some charges, and others was a hung jury. And I think that shows the tremendous difficulty. And, one quick little anecdote when we talk about how obscure this law is, how difficult, is Antonin Scalia, who was, a reasonably good lawyer, right, actually said from the bench in the Supreme Court argument once that this campaign finance law is so complex, I can't figure it out. So if we've got a Supreme Court justice can't figure it out, you see the problems that people have when they're trying to deal with it on a daily basis.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is President Trump at the time addressing the issue. They're going to convict him, like I said, they'll convict him. It will only help his poll numbers. Everybody knows that he's being convicted in an area of the country that he can never get a fair trial in. And this will help Democrats. This will get them very happy and riled up. And the Democrats also have a base where people think that the economy and foreign policy is just fantastic. This is not the average American. This is an ideologue that has a religion called liberal or far left. It's a religion for many people on the left. Many, let's say, people who potentially could be atheists, doesn't matter. I love Christopher Hitchens, great inspiration to me, even though I believe in God. But the point is, when you replace religion with politics, you get the average liberal Democrat voting for Biden, despite all the horrendous things that have taken place during Biden's administration. They're going to try to they will convict him. He'll be a convicted felon. But the Court of Appeals, hopefully sooner rather than later in New York, will overturn, or the Supreme Court will overturn it. Because you can't go ahead and then convict Trump as a felon for misdemeanors. These record-keeping crimes are actually misdemeanors that were elevated to a felony because they linked the record-keeping to FEC statutes that the FEC even didn't even think were a violation. Clinton and the DNC were fined by the FEC for purchasing the Steele dossier, which is complete and utter fake and phony news. And Democrats pontificate about how Trump lies. Trump tells the truth infinitely more than any of the Democrats. They literally used a compilation of pure lies against Trump to investigate him and purchased it with campaign donations while they were railroading and cheating Bernie Sanders in the DNC primary. You couldn't get more deceitful liars than those who cheated Bernie Sanders. And then Bernie Sanders part of the theatrical performance also. But let's listen to President Trump when he was president.
Well, I'm going to study it.
So you'll have to ask Michael Cohen, which they will. If he testifies, they'll ask. There's a chance, ladies and gentlemen, that he doesn't get convicted. Okay, the odds are that he gets convicted. It'll be overturned on appeal. Okay? It'll be overturned on appeal. But the issue is that you're not going to get anyone to truly believe that Trump committed this felony. Nobody really thinks that Trump committed a felony. Nobody. Nobody believes that. Okay? Nobody thinks that Trump is... nobody will think that Trump is truly a convicted felon when Democrats in New York try desperately to elevate record-keeping misdemeanors into a felony. While you have Hunter and Joe with clear violations, or you have Joe Biden with classified data violations that even the special counsel said if he had the cognitive abilities, he would have been indicted, which gives the benefit of the doubt to every single Democrat that breaks the law. When Clinton had private servers, which is literally impossible to own and store classified data or top secret intelligence. You had the Honorable James Comey telling the entire planet that he found top secret SAP intelligence on private computer servers And the entire planet should have been asking, how on earth is it even possible from a cybersecurity perspective? It is not possible. Of course that's a crime. You cannot transfer top secret intelligence onto servers that don't belong to the U.S. government. It's an impossibility. But she was a Democrat in President Obama's administration. Of course, that's not, that type of thing is not, they don't indict that. So this is very interesting too. This is a pretty good recap. And when you go back in time just 6 years, you get exactly what they don't want anyone to hear.
Stormy Daniels is suing President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, for defamation. The suit comes a day after the adult film star appeared on 60 Minutes. She says she had a one-night affair with President Trump in 2006, even though she has denied it in the past. Daniels claims years later, she received a threat to keep that affair a secret. He's like, wow. President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, says he had nothing to do with that, but admits to paying Daniels $130,000 of his own money as part of a non-disclosure agreement just days before the 2016 presidential election.
Mr. Cohen paid the $130,000, but the reason is to protect business, protect reputation, and to protect family. And you cannot speculate that it was to elect somebody president of the United States.
So he was going to win anyway, whether or not he was going to win anyway, whether or not he paid Stormy or not. Okay, they had at that point completely cheated Bernie Sanders. Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned. The DNC was in complete turmoil. They don't even have a functioning primary, yet they pontificate about democracy. Democracy's on the ballot, a system of government is on the ballot from the same people who cheated Bernie Sanders. And the DNC email showed that he was completely railroaded. But anyway, that they wrote. And then you had other resignations also from the DNC. My God, the corruption is unbelievable. Trump is a saint. He's an absolute saint compared to Democrats who routinely go after their own politicians within primaries. Now, there was like a second primary also 4 years later where that's why they don't even have Iowa anymore, because they're so tired of cheating Bernie Sanders in Iowa. So they don't have it as the first stop in their primary. But anyway, you're going to listen to Michael Cohen talk about how much he loves Trump. These people they have sold, if you've committed crimes like Michael Cohen has, he sold his soul to the Democratic Party. He got a much lower sentence. Okay, he was sentenced to a lesser sentence because he played ball and said, "Oh yeah, Trump committed a crime." It wasn't a crime; it was a contract. It wasn't an FEC violation. Even former FEC chairman stated it wasn't. By the way, to my super chat, thank you. If you want to support my work, Roxy, thank you for being a member. To the members, but it's really, really interesting. Check this out. This is the key witness against Trump. This is hilarious.
Return. Michael, what do you expect from President Obama when he leaves office? I expect more of the same.
Look, Sean, here's the thing. It doesn't really matter anymore. In 2 days, Donald Trump will become the 45th president. He's going to do everything that he promised during the campaign that he would do for the American people. He's already shown what he's going to do by keeping jobs in America, putting America first, and making America great again. He's just going to live up to his promises, which is really unlike, unfortunately, where we've been for the past 8 years. Said that the only thing that will ultimately be remembered under the Obama legacy is, I think, that bronze sculpture that was just commissioned.
Yeah, I think that, and bringing back the bust of Winston Churchill, which I hear is coming back as well. Michael, a lot of people have asked me, because they know we've been friends a long time, why isn't Michael going with the president-elect? Have you decided to take on any role?
So I get that. Look, I get that question a lot. I'm obviously very loyal and very dedicated to Mr. Trump. I think he's going to be not just a good president. I think he's going to be a great president. He's going to be the president that ends up working with everybody, whether Republican or Democrat, including those Democrats that are choosing not to come. And the truth is, he doesn't care. As far as me, I spoke yesterday to Mr. Trump. You'll be the first one to know, Sean, you and, of course, all your viewers. I'm going to be the personal attorney to Mr. Trump. I'm not going to be in government, but I'm going to remain technically in the same role for Mr. Trump, for President Trump, as I was when he was president of the Trump Organization.
So can I assume that in that role, not being a government role, that you'd have attorney-client privilege with President Trump?
Yes, of course. And that relationship hopefully will last, for not 4 years, but 8 years. I think he's a wonderful man. I think he's going to be an amazing president. The family is just, fantastic. They're behind him 100%. He's going to have Jared and Ivanka there,
we made some news
speak
here.
to him on, that's right, on a day-to-day basis. But I will be in D.C. and in New York, anywhere Mr. Trump deems necessary. I'll be there.
Ari,
So, ladies and gentlemen, you pretty much heard exactly why all of this will be overturned on appeal. Okay? There is no case against Trump. Okay, so there's no case against Trump. The issue here is that they're going to convict him. He's not going to spend even a second in prison or jail ever. So yes, they will convict him. But you have to understand, this is for political points. The political battle, they've lost already. They've already lost the political battle. Okay? They've already lost the political battle. They're trying to, this is really interesting. This is really interesting.
Aware of a 2010-2011 case that he decided where the parties did not sign the agreement. Just like this, where you're on your side and there's a contract. There's a contract here. The parties signed the contract. Stormy, or whatever her name is, signed it on your side, and EC LLC signed it on this side. And you know what? Let's forget about the and of the or for a second. You cannot assert a right when you obtain a benefit. You waive that right. You waive all your rights.
So when you get the money, after stating that you never had the relationship, that's what he's talking about.
Obtain the benefit under the contract. She received the bargain that she bargained for.
Did Michael Cohen violate the non-disclosure agreement by publicly discussing it and saying that, confirming in fact that he had paid $130,000?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He didn't violate because it was already she had already violated the.
Well, no, it had been leaked to the Wall Street Journal.
Well, she had violated the contract already.
How had she violated the contract?
Because she leaked it. She's the one that was out there leaking the information.
But how do you know she was leaking the information?
Well, I guess it's going to come out in court, right?
Why would she?
So there you have it. It's a contract where Michael Cohen started a business. He started a business on his own. It was his money. It wasn't campaign money. It wasn't Trump's money. Then they say it's business record keeping, but it's Michael Cohen's business. How can you get Trump on record keeping when Michael Cohen starts a business? and you have him on tape. That's why they're probably not going to use that tape in court, because Michael Cohen says he's going to start. He's going to start. Here's the tape. And that's why I started off with this.
We need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David.
So that might have been a different company he opened up. So Michael Cohen was opening up. Who knows if that was regarding the transfer of info to the National Enquirer owner or president or whatever, or whether it was for Stormy. The whole point is it's not a campaign finance issue. It has nothing to do with campaign finance. It was not a crime. It certainly wasn't a felony. See, they're trying to get Trump in D.C., in Georgia. Trump did not commit an actual crime, okay? He didn't commit, and there's nothing that he did was as an actual crime. These are all things that are legal that they're trying to then turn into these grandiose felonies. That's why nothing will stick. He'll get convicted. I've been saying, told you that the whole time. He'll get convicted. He'll win the case eventually on appeal and politically. He'll get convicted and then win the case on appeal politically. So, let's listen to Greg Jarrett again. Really interesting.
For the Trump campaign, or the coming Trump campaign, you would do pretty much what Donald Trump did. No campaign money, consult your private lawyer, and they enter into these non-disclosure agreements. Greg, let me ask you this. Isn't the real issue here is people were actually paid under the non-disclosure agreements and then they violated the non-disclosure agreements? I don't see them giving the money back.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I think it's malpractice for the attorney for Stormy Daniels to say, go ahead and talk while the case is pending as to whether or not it's a valid and enforceable non-disclosure agreement. So it's stunning to me. But to Bradley's point, not everything that benefits a candidate is considered to be a campaign expense. Professor Smith wrote that in one of his op-eds, and he's absolutely right. If there is a dual purpose or a secondary purpose, it's not a campaign expense. And moreover, the media rushed and said, oh, Cohen pled guilty, the president must be guilty. That's utter nonsense. First of all, under the Federal Campaign Election Act and other related laws that criminalize violations, there has to be knowledge. You have to show that there was a knowing and deliberate violation of the law in order for it to be criminal. Well, most candidates don't know the election law. Heck, a lot of lawyers don't understand election laws. This gentleman, the former commissioner, the Federal Election Commission, chairman, I mean, he knows election law. He may be just about the only one in America who really truly knows it. So you couldn't criminalize what Trump did if it wasn't properly accounted for as an advance or reimbursement. Okay, that's a civil penalty. It's the equivalent of a jaywalking $500 fine, but it's certainly not a crime.
I did a search. It didn't take me long. Of all the federal candidates who've been charged and been convicted of violating these laws, I can't find a single one. Are you aware of a single one?
For this kind of scenario?
This kind of scenario?
No, I'm really not. Of course, the most high-profile one would be John Edwards from a few years ago.
And what happened in that
Folks may
case?
remember that supporters were paying money to a woman, Riley Hunter, I believe was her name, with whom he'd had an affair and an illegitimate child. And now it's worth noting, the U.S. attorney indicted him, so they went to trial on it. So the U.S. attorney thought there was a case. But in the end, the jury did not convict. He was acquitted on some charges, and others was a hung jury. And I think that shows the tremendous difficulty. And, one quick little anecdote when we talk about how obscure this law is, how difficult, is Antonin Scalia, who was, a reasonably good lawyer, right, actually said from the bench in the Supreme Court argument once that this campaign finance law is so complex, I can't figure it out. So if we've got a Supreme Court justice can't figure it out, you see the problems that people have when they're trying to deal with it on a daily basis.
So, ladies and gentlemen, even Michael Cohen is saying that on appeal, this is not going to stand. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a very important live stream. You get to understand within this live stream exactly why they'll convict him for political purposes. They'll try to say he's a convicted felon. Nobody will truly understand why he's a convicted felon until they look at what New York prosecutors did, which is elevate a misdemeanor to a felony, while at the same time 50 intel officials said that Hunter's laptop was a Kremlin plot. Exactly, Elizabeth. And you have the statute of limitations also. But he will get convicted either, next month or late this month. He'll get convicted. There's a chance, by the way, he doesn't. I mean, look, there's a chance, hopefully, he doesn't get convicted. It's a very, very difficult. It's all politics. What happens in Tammany Hall, it's all politics. So they're going to try desperately to convict him. They might actually convict him. Every single news publication around the world, The Guardian, BBC, New York Times, The Washington Post, will then say he's a convicted felon. Convicted felon Trump. Nobody will care. Trump is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of politics. He just gets stronger and stronger. Okay? You heard basically all of the people that can try to ruin Trump and convict him are all of the same people who said completely different things, either under oath or on television 6 years ago. And you had Stormy Daniels deny it and then sign a letter, I believe, denying it as well, an affidavit. So, nobody is going to care. Again, nobody is going to care that Trump will be viewed as a convicted felon for a couple of months or until past the November when he wins. The man's going to win. And he could actually be in a jail cell, which he won't, and he'll still win. That's how terrible Biden is. But Trump was a great president. When Bill Maher and Robert De Niro say, oh my God, we can't handle Trump. What, you can't handle record-breaking economy, record low poverty? What is it with record low poverty and record highs in household median income that Robert De Niro and Bill Maher can't stand? Doha Agreement that we've seen what's taking place. Or so I should say Abraham Accords that certain entities are trying to completely dismantle. They've dismantled it, which is why you see these atrocities taking place. But that was a very important attempt at peace. Doha Agreement brought Americans home. Biden completely botched that. Trump negotiated that. Trump brought Americans home with that agreement. Biden reluctantly abided by the agreement. It was a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. So you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where in terms of foreign policy, it's an unmitigated disaster everywhere around the world. Biden does not have his administration, not him, his administration, because they're likely running things, has zero vision. They have no clue what they want. What is the end game in Europe, Middle East? What do they want to accomplish? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And domestically, we are on the brink of a terrible stock market crash. A terrible stock market crash. You have inflation going up. Interest rates might go up. And so, in the economy, every poll has Trump up 20 points. So, you know, what can I tell you? Be here throughout this year and beyond. We're going to get to 300,000 subs very soon. This is going to be a very important month, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have the presidential immunity issue where Trump's going to get partial immunity, which will be an absolute victory. Like, it'll be the most amazing victory because the DC special counsel essentially dissolves. He will dissolve it when he becomes president, but nobody is going to jail or prison, I agree. Trump will not spend even 1 second in jail or prison. All of these court cases will completely be just viewed as attempts by Democrats to indict the direct political rival, which is what despots, authoritarians, totalitarians, tyrants do. And I love when you have Hollywood saying Trump has said he's going to be an authoritarian. You're going after your direct political rival, trying desperately to get misdemeanors into felonies because of record keeping, as you have bribery and graft in a laptop. Classified data debacle with Biden's probably might even be worse than what Clinton did. And yet they're going after Trump. So there you go. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. He'll win the hush money case ultimately. He might very well get convicted, but he'll win ultimately the hush money case. Hit subscribe, everybody.